Okay, people, we are getting into our next run now, and it's one that will leave nothing standing. This is Vanquish by DECosmic. Take it away.
How's it going, everybody? My name is DECosmic, and I am joined today by my good friend Demonic Robots.
Hey there, everyone. How's it going?
This game is called Vanquish. It is a third-person action shooter by Platinum Games, directed by Shinji Mikami, and we might as well just get right on into it because there's a lot of cool stuff to cover. Yeah, all that fun stuff. So, time will start in 3, 2, 1.
Vanquish.
So, pretty much what happens at the start of Vanquish here is that I think it's San Diego gets nuked basically by a mic. Yeah, San Francisco. Okay, do you want to take this away? Because
yeah.
I totally forget the beginning here.
So, we are playing as Sam Gideon, who is not part of the military, but he is rather part of DARPA, which is like a defense research thing that's actually exists in real life. But essentially what happens is Russia uses a giant satellite space station to completely blow up San Francisco. And because of that, the Marines and Sam here with his special super augmented suit is sent in order to take back control of the space station so they don't blow up New York, which is something that I think that they were threatened with if they didn't have a full unconditional surrender. So the goal of Sam here is to retake the facility, defeat the bad guys who are the Russians. They're not actually the Russian government. It's actually like a splinter cell group. They gained a lot of power. The Russian Order of the Russian Star is what they are.
Yeah, the Order of the Russian Star. Yeah, it's like I don't know what you would call them. I guess a splinter cell group is a pretty good indication of what they are, but yeah. They're definitely like rogue, and we fight. There's not actually humans that we're fighting here. It's all like Russian robots, basically. They're all called Gorgons, or Gorgies, most of them anyway. But there's other like types of units. Basically, Sam has a suit called the ARS suit, or the Augmented Reaction Suit. And it allows him to have a transforming gun as well as like slide around on his knees and slow down time and everything. He's not actually a soldier. This is actually his first time in combat.
Yeah, but don't worry, he's done a lot of VR training. And you can tell that this game just kind of has a couple similarities with Metal Gear. Just a small amount.
Just few. Small amount. Nothing too crazy, you know.
But here we go. So, that was the first mission.
Yeah, that's I know there's like a ship that crashed into everything and all that. It's something else. But yeah, go ahead, man.
We also have Elena right there who is helping us out. She's kind of like the Cortana of this game, which, fun fact, she actually does play as a Halo AI in the new one, so it's kind of fitting. And then we have I can't remember what his title is, but we have Burns, who is basically a Gears of War character. He's going to be the leader of the Marines, and he's kind of the one who's... This is his mission. We're just kind of tagging along for it. But yeah, this suit was essentially designed by, I can't remember what his name is, but he was designed by like a
scientist name. Yeah, it was.
We're supposed to be rescuing basically, but he also built this entire like station. But here we go. We have a lot of different movement in this game. So you're going to notice that in the bottom right that there's going to be a green bar. That is kind of a health energy bar, but it doesn't do just health. So essentially, we're going to see right here, Cosmic is going to get into a completely slowed down time. This happens when you take a little bit too much damage at once, but essentially it will force your suit to go into an overheating state after slowing down. But the movement that you see with him sliding around and doing all that stuff is depletes that bar, so he has to be very careful. Like, as you can see, like right now he's sliding on his knees, and that's draining the bar. So a big part of this is going to be managing that.
That ship just flew away with my upgrade cube, and I wanted to explain the upgrade cubes, but I guess we'll just have to do that later. So these walkers here, our weapons are not super strong right now, so we're going to use these walkers and turrets and stuff in order to like take out a bunch of the enemies. I should have destroyed that transport there, but I did not want to. I wanted to try and get the upgrade cube off of it. A lot of the drops in this game are random, including the upgrade cubes, which we'll get into here in a second. But first what we're going to do is take this walker, and once the door decides to open, we're going to take out all these guys here, And boop, 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 boop. This guy's down. All right, excellent, very cool, all clear. And then once the transition happens here, we're going to have to use the turret over here to take out 2 transports. And the reason that we want to take out the 2 transports is because they'll have they're like drop ships that enemies will come down off of. So we just want to prevent the enemies from spawning in, and this is going to pretty much initiate the first boss fight almost immediately. Okay, so they're both down. Grab some here. Get set up.
So this boss can be a little bit annoying. You actually have to fight more of them later on, but there is a random aspect to it where we're gonna see him hop onto a turret here in a second, and if he gets knocked out that turret, he has to do 2 cycles. Otherwise, he has to do 1, which is really, really annoying.
Yeah, it loses like 40 seconds or something. So this is really just all about kind of praying at this point. So. Here we go, and we'll get into the weapon that I'm using here in a second after this fight. We haven't gotten a chance to really explain it yet. Okay, hold on. I have to actually grab this thing here. What are you doing, sir? Alright, what? Okay. Really unfortunate drops here in the first section. Alright, so here we go. We're going to just use the turret here. The Argus core is going to come out. And I should be in the clear for the 1 cycle here. Yep, we're good. Cool.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Really, really good.
Alright, so that weapon that I had to just drop there because it ran out of ammo is called the anti-armor pistol. Hopefully, I didn't really want to have to drop it because now I might get... I might have some problems later with the upgrade route here, but we're going to try and get it back as soon as we can. The anti-armor pistol is what makes this category... with DLC, the anti-armor pistol. There's 3 DLC weapons that are in the game that come with the PC port of the game, and I believe all consoles after PS3, which was the game's original release, PS3 and 360. They're the boost machine gun, the laser cannon, and the anti-armor pistol. And the anti-armor pistol just really dishes out like a ton of damage, honestly. It's pretty absurd just how crazy or how wild the weapon is overall. But right now we have the heavy machine gun equipped, and that's really just because... okay, I'm going to reset the checkpoint here because I accidentally... My heat gauge, which we should also probably explain. The heat gauge, which is it kind of doubles as a shield or like a health bar, but it also is what determines how long I can slide on me.
Yeah, and like I was talking about earlier, if he takes damage and he slows down time or anything like that, that's where it gets that resource from, is from the heat gauge. And okay, so you just saw right there, Cosmic, what he ended up doing is to clear out these enemies, he will throw a grenade, slow down time, and shoot it. This is actually a huge mechanic of the game where if you shoot a grenade while it is in midair before it explodes naturally, it'll actually do double, it's either I think double the damage or has a double the range.
Yeah, it's double the range, yep.
So it's really important to get that down. But right now we're freeing these trapped Marines. It's worth noting that Burns was just like, they're Marines, leave them behind. You know, they signed up for this. And that's kind of a big theme of his character that makes him not really likable too much. And Sam is going, no, we're not going to leave them behind. So that's a big source of tension between the two.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look, there we go. There's the anti-armor. Good. Excellent. Good drops. I love to see it. Okay, so the assault rifle is the white gun that we have here. This is pretty much like our bread and butter in terms of taking out the fodder mobs and stuff. We also have a shotgun on us right now. We're going to be looking to trade that in for a sniper rifle because that is going to be our main form of movement throughout the run. I'm going to just try and take these guys out here. I unfortunately upgraded not the anti-armor pistol. That's unfortunate as well. I'm going to have to be really careful with this here. I am just not having a good time with it. Alright. What are you doing? Yeah. And then we're going to head into the next one.
Yeah, combat is a big source of the speed run, mainly due to the fact that when you are not moving, combat's kind of the big thing that slows you down, because there aren't really any, timers for it where it's you just have to survive for a amount of time. It typically, once you kill the last enemy, you can move on, so you want to try and get them as quickly as you can. And also you're looking out for resources, like we mentioned upgrade cubes earlier. every single gun in the game can actually be upgraded to do more damage, hold more ammo, all of that jazz. And we really want to hit those upgrades to get it for specific items that we'll use for pretty much the entirety of the run.
There's another grenade there. Goodness gracious. Try this one here. Good. Alright. Now we just took down that guy. We're going to get 2 upgrades here for the anti-armor pistol. And really, we're just going to prioritize with our upgrade cubes the anti-armor pistol. Here, we're going to actually use a weapon called the lock-on laser. This is sort of like the weapon that makes you tell... Well, you're able to tell that this game was designed for a controller. It just kind of auto-targets things up here. This is really useful because, you know, these enemies that are up on the rafters here are a little bit hard to get to with the weapons that we have at our disposal right. We're just going to use the lock-on laser right here. It's being a little bit difficult, but we're... Alright, cool. That's you over there. Okay. So now we're going to just go back here, grab the shotgun. Not what I wanted. Okay. Actually, I probably could have used.
And,
right.
Of course, if that part didn't make it obvious that this was designed for console, you can tell by the HUD in the bottom right corner that it was.
Yeah, that's true, too, yeah. Alright, so we're going to plop a EMP grenade down here, which, again, we're fighting robots, so we're going to do a number on them.
Yeah, not only does it do damage, but it also stuns them, so that's what separates it from the frag grenade.
Yeah. Really should have kept the lock-on laser on me there, because the lock-on laser is actually like the second fastest form of movement in the game, because each weapon has a unique melee animation, and the sniper rifle has like a roundhouse kick that you can sort of loop into itself. And the way that you loop melee attacks is by just doing a roll into a melee attack. So we're just going to use the AR's attack right here, and we're just going to grab the LFE gun as well, because this is another really fast movement. So it goes like sniper rifle movement, LFE gun, as well as lock-on laser, and then like the assault rifle, and then some other weapons, as well as like boosting is up there too. So we're just going to use this right here, this punch. The punch right there is pretty fast. So what we're going to do here is we have an armored vehicle sort of trailing behind us. We're going to get up to the top here of this area. Excuse me. Okay. That's fine. And then this is where the game kind of introduces these high explosive mechanics. This is just sort of like a QTE that you got to do, and then use it to complete certain objectives. It's not something that Sam can like normally plant on his own. He has to have the prompt for it. Once we blow it up, then we're going to be resetting the checkpoint to bring the armored vehicle back to us. So there's the checkpoint here. The armored vehicle is going to come back to us now. And then we're going to use the anti-armor pistol to just kind of go to town on these jellyfish here. I'm also going to shoot this guy in his backpack. And that...
Still always weird to me that this game has like different melee animations for every single gun, and none of them except for one uses the actual gun as a melee attack.
Yeah, it's the disc launcher. It's the only gun as well where, like, because it doesn't use the or because it uses the gun itself instead of Sam's body, it's the only one that doesn't overheat your heat gauge when you attack an enemy with it. So like these melee attacks, they do a ton of damage, but we don't want to actually do them while enemies are around, because if we hit like one enemy, then we'll overheat and we'll just be like forced into a really bad roll animation, like really slow, and you can't cancel it into anything, and it's just not really a good. So what else we got here? We have two types of grenades that we talked about a little bit. Hand grenades, just kind of a regular grenade that we can use it to blow stuff up. EMP grenade, we're going to use it to stun a lot of things. You'll also notice me doing reload canceling in this game, where on keyboard you can, in slots 1 and 2, so like the top and the right slot, you can select these weapons unto themselves, and then the third slot you have to switch off of weapons in order to reload cancel. So like while a weapon's reloading, you'll just cancel it however is appropriate for either controller or keyboard, and then you'll just be able to completely skip the reloading animation, and then you just kind of get to fire off, tons and tons of damage just for free, pretty much. It's a huge backbone of the run. And just how fast we can actually go, because we just don't have to wait on any sort of what we do got to wait on is these dudes getting in my way. That's what we got to wait on. These soldiers, if they get in the way of your shot at all, then it will just totally like cancel the damage on it, because it doesn't even matter like if Sam is actually aiming at something in the distance. As long as they're covering that reticle, it will block your shot, which is just unfortunate. Also, since we have the LFE gun here, I can show off a pretty like an IL strat here, which is just faster. This is something that you can only do if you have the LFE gun on. So when these guys kind of come down here, I'm gonna do this and then just shoot the LFE gun through all these dudes. Excuse me. Thank you. Alright, good. And then this guy's dead.
This area is also another example of the inspirations for this game, but this was definitely during that like peak time of cover-based shooters. So Gears of War was really popular, and they kind of designed that stall thing, and coming out of the ground was definitely inspired by that. But when you're playing this game casually, it looks really different from the way that Cosmic is playing it. It's kind of a game that's designed for you to go through it and play multiple times, but like during the beginning of it, you're gonna be doing a lot of what he's doing here, which is cover-based shooting. And so a lot of people, when they first played this game, didn't really play it, I don't want to say the right way, but they didn't play it the dev intended way. The dev intended way is like literally what Cosmic is doing here, where he's just like sliding around the battlefield, shooting things, barely using cover.
Yeah, it's like they really want you to abuse a lot of the invincibility frames that are on a ton of the things that you do. Like there's iframes on rolls, there's iframes at the start of your boost. Like there's just a lot that you can do, and you can like leap over cover and shoot things, from behind it in slow-mo, and it's a lot of fun. And then you have like God Hard mode, where everything just kind of takes you down in like one shot. So it's like you have to use those iframes. But yeah, it's like the very first time through the game, like Demonic said, you really are going to use cover a lot, and then as you get better at the game, you'll just less and less. It'll be fun. All right, so this part right here, we're going to be coming up on the end of chapter 1. This is the chapter that's like really breakneck speed. There's just a lot of like really wild fights just sort of back to back. Excuse me.
Yeah. So the lower part of this coming up is we actually see the doctor who we're trying to recover from the Order of the Russian Star. And what ends up happening is he gets away, and we are stuck fighting the main bad guy, so to speak, of the Order of the Russian Star. And that's going to be like our first like real boss. But yeah, this is the enemy bogey, and he's just gonna get almost completely destroyed immedely.
Yeah, he just got wrecked. So that was actually a phase skip there, or like a QTE skip, because if you just kill him like that pretty quickly, then you don't have to do a QTE where they like engage in like these really cool fisticuffs, and then Sam just like punches him into the stratosphere. It's really cool to look at, but unfortunately it is really slow, so we just kind of bypass that entirely by just doing tons of damage to him with the anti-armor pistol. This is a small skip right here, but it does set up for a really consistent setup on the next fight, so I'm going to try and go for this.
While you do, is there a moment for a quick donation?
Absolutely, yeah, go.
Alright, we have $1 in from Tempest Mask 1000, who says, I'm a simple guy. When I see Cosmic slay this sweet game, I gotta donate. Be it big or small. I sincerely hope Platinum might consider a sequel once the time is right. Till then, keep doing Sam things, and shoot if you see so much as a Roomba. Now then, I've got to get back to practicing Demon Slaying.
Shoutouts. Much love, Tempest. I really hope that there's going to be a Vanquish 2 someday, but I'm not holding out hope, so to speak. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
So unfortunately we didn't get the skip here, but we can, however, still do a cool setup. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just throw down an EMP here, and then throw this, and then shoot these guys, and then we're going to take these guys out. Excuse me, thank you. Alright, cool. And now we have the sniper rifle, and now everybody gets to see the cool movement that comes with the sniper rifle as well.
Yeah, unfortunately this is a Platinum game, so even though there's a lot of fast-paced movement in combat, there's a lot of starting and stopping over and over because, you know, that's what's fun, right? But this section is a really good example of, like, you know, just nothing restricting you, so you just have full-on really good movement tech to show off here, you know, balancing your heat gauge and the melee attacks and all that stuff. It's a really cool aspect of the game that I really like.
Yeah, absolutely. Take out these walkers here. You can kind of see already sort of like the damage on this this weapon sort of stacking up, really. Because now I'm just starting to shred through a lot of things. Alright, here we go. And now we're into like a 9-minute auto-scroller. Because, you know, what's better after like a whole 18 minutes or so of just breakneck fights? Sitting here on a turret fighting these guys. This is like usually where I take like the water break and everything in the run. We just kind of have to chill here for a little bit. I forget exactly like what's happening at this point in the story, but I feel like we're just kind of going to get the scientists still, or maybe there was some Marines that were in need of help or something. This is a pretty good chance though in a second here for me to actually explain another mechanic in the game that we sort of make the upgrade route consistent. But if we have time for some words from the host, well, here for sure.
Alright, well, I would like to put a bit more attention onto the soon-to-be closing poll for Rolled Out, the character choice. That last donation added $1 more to Morris the Rat, and before that, $60 to Chartreuse the Giraffe, which is a name that is hard to say quickly. Not quite in contention, still about $75 short of being in the lead, but I have seen what this community can do. So if you are really keen to see some giraffes playing Rolled Out, you know what to do.
So, Demonic, what did you first think when you got here, by the way? Casual crew.
During my casual playthrough, I kind of liked it because I suck at this game, so I got to literally just stand behind cover and just like really play to the game's advantage of, hey, I don't need to move from behind here. I also played it on a controller too, and I have to say that this game does actually feel pretty natural on the controller.
Oh yeah.
This was during a time when PC ports were usually not up to as high of a standard, because, you know, who cared about PC ports back then? But that actually caused some problems with the PC port early on, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's true. There was like, so when this game first came out on PC, this game natively runs at 30 FPS, and I'm not sure why they settled on that, but, you know, it is what it is, I suppose.
Because it was on PS3.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that makes sense. But like, so when it came out on PC, it was running at 60 FPS or like, you know, unlocked, and apparently enemy damage is tied to frame rate in some way in this game. So enemies were doing double the damage that they were supposed to, and there was actually an article written at some point called "Vanquish may be harder than you remember it." They actually fixed this, so I think that now enemies do less damage than they're supposed to, but I think I'll take that over like getting headshot and just going into like the slow-mo state pretty much right away, because Sham actually can get headshot in this game. Enemies can like just randomly hit your head and you'll actually see his head flinch. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot in this game that, and we'll talk about it a little bit more as we go on, but there's a ton in this game that is actually tied to frame rate, and it's a wonder that most of it, I should say, works in our favor in terms of the speed run, because it causes a lot of really wonky stuff to happen. Like, enemy projectiles will just kind of fly off everywhere. Like, the very first Argus Core fight is a really good example of this, because we saw, like, the missiles just kind of fly everywhere, but if you play at, like, 30 FPS or even 60, a lot of those missiles will actually try to hit you. But at such high FPS, for whatever reason, they just go wild, and they just have no chance of hitting you at all. This can also affect some pathing on enemy AI as well as friendly AI. And there's been times where, like, I've seen it, and a friendly AI just turn right around and then just walk in the opposite direction that they needed to, and eventually they course corrected. But it was just a sign of, like, you know, I'd never seen anything when I was playing it on console like that. And then once you get to, like, well, I think I'm technically playing at like 250 FPS right now. I think that's the kind of the max that this engine goes to. It's interesting. I think the only thing that's not tied to the loads is like the temperature of Sam's suit or something like that.
Yeah, the heat gauge. Yeah, Sam's suit lore-wise is actually kind of interesting because this is very much like a prototype suit, and the game kind of works that into its favor, making and creating the mechanics of it. Because I think the idea of the suit is that it shouldn't need a heat gauge; it should just be working perfectly functional. But because this is like the very first time that it's actually out in the field, like not only just Sam, like but the suit in general is gonna be like, yeah, it keeps on overheating, keeps on causing problems, all this stuff. But yeah, it's very similar to like the suit in like Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, absolutely. Which that's why there's this guy. There's a character in Metal Gear Rising named Sam, who is a reference to this Sam because that Sam is named Jetstream Sam, and this Sam uses jet streams on his feet. How about that? Same developers too.
How about that? It's time for one donation.
Absolutely.
I feel I should put some emphasis on this. Ask and you shall receive from Sabera, $110 donated for the cause of Chantruse the Giraffe, who is now in the lead for rolled out. They say 3333333333333333333. You get the idea.
Excellent.
Thank you very much to them. Take it away.
Alright, so after this part right here, where I'm just going to kind of hide and cover for a little bit, we're going to see the first instance of a QTE that, you know, in the run. And you really have to mash this one out. I think this is another thing that's kind of affected by FPS, because you barely make this QTE every time, and I'm just kind of mashing as fast as I can. And this is the part where Sam tells this guy he's last year's model. You're last year's model. Fortunately, we don't play in English, because Japanese is the fastest. Because I think it's not every spoken dialogue in Japanese in this game is faster, but most of them are. So that's why we play on Japanese instead of English. But I don't actually know how much time save that amounts to. It's probably not a whole lot, but there is a ton of time. There's a ton of sections in this game where you are gated by the characters kind of talking to one another. So any time that you can shorten that is good to me.
Yeah. So this might be a good time to explain the weapon upgrade system. So if you notice over in the bottom right corner over the guns, there are what look like military ranking symbols. So the system that this works on is stars and stripes. Essentially, every, I think it's like every 4 or 5 stripes is every 3 stripes is a star, and then every 5 stars?
I think it's like every 5 stars is a banner, yeah. Every 5 stars is a banner, yeah.
And essentially, you can get it up to, I think, what the equivalent would be is like rank 50 for a gun. But that's what it shows you, like, how good your weapons are and how far up they're upgraded. And this actually applies to the grenades as well. So using them, finding those upgrade cubes that we mentioned earlier are going to boost it up. And the main reason we wanted for the anti-armor pistol is because of that max ammo capacity, because that's going to be really important in later fights.
Yes, sir. There is also a exploit that I'm going to do here coming up, like, after this auto-scroller section, where there's designated booths in the game where you will see all of the DLC weapons, and we want to get as many free upgrade points as we can out of the anti-armor pistol. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap out another weapon for the we're going to swap the anti-armor pistol out for like the laser cannon, and then grab a fresh copy of the anti-armor pistol, and then we're going to grab the anti-armor pistol that we had on us before that may or may not have full ammo on it, and then we're just going to get like a free upgrade point from it. So here we go.
So free upgrade and a max ammo in the gun.
Sure.
Here we go. We can finally move again. It's
great. It's great. Love to see.
That was the last auto-scroller, right, Cosmic? There's definitely not going to be any more.
No, sure, yeah, we'll go with that. Also, this is a rocket launcher. This is one of the only times we use it in with DLC, but it's cool and fast. So, like right there as well. I have a lot of upgrade points right now.
Oh yeah. So that is another important thing though, is managing your weapons. You can have up to 3 weapons at a time, but we always want to have the anti-armor pistol on us, so that's a slot taken up. And we always want that sniper rifle if possible because of the melee animation, because that will speed you up. I'm not sure what the exact timings are for all of the melees, but you do it a lot, so it probably adds up to, you know, 10 or 20 seconds compared to like the second fastest melee that you can get.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's like you save, you know, like frames or whatever every time comparatively. Also, this QTE doesn't actually exist, so I don't need to do anything.
Ah, so it's a Last of Us QTE.
And then we use the drill right here, and we're just gonna spin on through. This Argus core fight here is broken up into 2 sections, each of them 1 phase. So we're going to take down this guy now. Alright, here we go. Now we're going to aim at the Argus core, and as you can see, now that our anti-armor pistol is getting stacked up, we don't need those turrets anymore that we used earlier in the game. So we are flying solo in terms of damage output now. No more RNG where that's concerned. Alrighty. See here. This is like one of those sections where I was talking about. You'll see, I think it's Sergeant Burns is his title. He'll try and like walk towards you, and then there's times where like he's just walking. He's supposed to be walking at us here, but as you can see, he's just sort of walking back and forth. But he should just be trying to approach the door. But again, he's trying to course correct. But again, like high FPS just has his pathing messed up. So very strange. I'm just gonna look away from him. I don't see what he can do.
Yeah, and in the meantime of the story, we actually got separated from Burns, and now we are back with him, and a couple of the soldiers. So right now we're trying to get to the center of the city because that's where a lot of the attacks are going on. That's where we can get control of everything. So that is our goal, is to get to the center area. This is actually an entire space station. But even though it's a huge laser thing, it was actually, I think, designed more for just like to be a space station. Yep. Also, Cosmic is gonna be doing something right here. He's gonna be going all the way forward, and then he's gonna be going all the way back, and that actually should teleport the group of Marines a little bit closer to this service lift. Which it's actually kind of funny because Burns is obviously inspired by Gears of War, and in the Gears of War games, they actually do a very similar tech to that as well. So
the crossover. There's also like a little bit of tech here once we get out of the small like intercom thing here, where I'm gonna try and push all the soldiers to the edge of the elevator, just to have them get out sooner, and then I can push Burns into the trigger to activate the next chapter a little bit quicker. It's going to save like a little bit of time, but you know, every second counts. We also have a time for whatever you got to take care of post. Got time for, we got a little bit of free time here.
Alright, well, I will take the opportunity to shout out to the Trevor Project, rather, my mistake, which this marathon is in benefit of. The organization works to save young lives by providing support through free and confidential suicide prevention and crisis intervention programs on platforms where young people spend their time. There's a 24/7 phone lifeline, chat, text, and soon to come integrations with social media platforms.
Let's push Burns here into the trigger. We'll get into another one of those like really heavy movement sections. So I'm gonna do another weapon swap exploit here. Ooh. Alright. And then we'll take these guys out. We want to just target the middle of these walkers here. We don't want to try and target the pilot. We just want to take out the legs.
Another cool little thing about the movement is when Cosmic is sliding, he's actually going for a specific slide animation. So you'll see that Sam has 2 slides. He has the kind of rock star one where he slides forward on both knees versus the more traditional slide one that he does. The sliding on 2 knees is the slightly faster animation, so we always try to angle ourselves to get that one. It isn't completely random which one you get. Like, there's a way to consistently get this one that he's doing, which this is a great example of the movement and how it works. But it's a little bit awkward to like get, so you have to like kind of position yourself in the right way.
Oh my goodness, this happened again. I thought I was out of range of him. My goodness. All right, I'm gonna be able to checkpoint
that. Was, that was Call of Duty Commando Pro melee range.
All right, here we go.
So that's another thing to point out is in this section, if you melee near an enemy, your character will just automatically try to like fling themselves over to hit them. So because there are so many enemies in this area, you have to be really careful and kind of know, like, you have to plan out in your head, like, all right, there's no enemies here, I'm gonna melee. All right, there's enemies here, I'm gonna slide. And you have to kind of keep that in mind when going through this entire battle section.
Then we're going to, once the checkpoint activates here, we're gonna actually reset it in order to despawn all the enemies, and then we'll take out these guys that have spawned down here as we wait for the Marines to sort of make their way up. For some reason, they also kind of try to target this ship that kind of comes out over here. You'll see it in a second here once I make my way down. Yeah, I just try to target and to kind of prevent forward a little bit. I don't know why they do this, but they do. Fortunate. And this is where we actually have like the first, like one of the bigger skips in the game coming up. It doesn't save a ton of time, but it is really cool. So elevator clips in this game, you have to use a certain melee attack, which is either done with the anti-armor pistol or the heavy machine gun. And if you fire into a corner and then aim while doing this, while a lift is moving upward or forward, you can just kind of clip out like that.
It's a really cool trick. I wish there was more of it in this game.
It is pretty dope. So now we just skipped having to like go across an entire bridge, and we're just going to slide on up the hill here.
And before you ask, yes, this is totally normal for, you know, to be able to do is sliding uphill.
Alright, so next combat section here, we're going to go ahead and take out this guy behind there. Take out some... Oh my goodness! Oh, you can all see this now. I fell through the floor. Excellent. Okay.
Oh my god.
So, that is the glitch that'll happen if I'm standing in a wrong spot there for some reason. Again, I think that's an FPS thing. I haven't actually had that happen in Marathon.
Because I had that happen to me on my casual playthrough in the same area.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Let's see. That's something. I'm actually kind of glad that happened because I've kind of wanted to show that off in a marathon for a little while. So it looks really wonky. It's just I've never had it happen right there, and it's probably the best place for it to happen because it's the least time loss. So that was really funny. I'm kind of glad that was a thing. Y'all got to see sort of the backdrop there.
Yeah. Another thing that happens sometimes is you'll get hit by like a grenade or some object, and it'll shoot you way up high into the air.
Yep.
For like no reason. And unfortunately there's not really a way for us to like do any of that consistently or make useful in the speed run, but it's always a fun glitch when it happens.
Alright, so now this next shot here, ignore that enemy by the way, it's fodder. So this next shot here is going to be so that I'm going to try and shoot the backpack of one of the enemies, so that I can take out 3 of them from spawning onto the battlefield, because otherwise I have to wait for them to like reach the end of their like descent onto the battlefield. But I'm going to try and take it here. Where is he at? Good, got him. Right at the very end there. Alright, cool. And now we're going to just use the anti-armor pistol here to force this boss through its phases, and every time we get a new checkpoint, we're just going to reset it. I don't remember exactly what this enemy is called. I don't even know if it has a name. It's just kind of a laser cannon that does a lot of damage and stuff and tries to call enemies up to help it. But now it's gone. It's dead.
Yeah, and these checkpoints, we don't really use like or abuse the checkpoints in this game very often. Typically, this is like the most prominent example in order to skip a lot of enemy waves in between. But here we go. It's actually not nighttime. They just literally turned off all of the lights. Like, that's actually just what the story is. So
I love that explanation every time. So
yeah.
good.
Just like turn off the sun, guys.
Gotta see it. Alright, so another weapon swap exploit here. This time we're gonna do it with the boost machine gun. Then we're gonna head on over here. This is another like really fast-paced section right here. Just because there's a lot of enemies that you sort of have to take out and crowd control. This is, I think, typically one of the fights that like the top runners we use as like a training ground for our aim practice, just because of how many targets there are to keep track of and all the different ways that they can, you know, sort of facilitate or enable time loss or time gain. So I'm gonna take these guys out right here.
It's also worth noting that the Marines and Burns can actually be somewhat helpful in this area because they can't kill too many enemies on their own. You're going to be mostly doing a lot of the work, but they will, you know, act as cannon fodder to distract enemies so you're not getting attacked, or will do a lot of damage on some of the smaller ones to make this a lot easier. But it's still kind of random how well they do.
Oh my goodness! I did not. That guy. See, this is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of enemies to keep track of.
This is also an example of what happens when you take too much damage at the same time, as you get slowed down completely, which is really, really slow, and along with that, it also makes you overheat, which is bad. It works like Halo, where if you are in the overheated stage and you take a little bit more damage, you'll die.
These are like the mini bogeys. Put them out. So we're just gonna move on here, and now I'm gonna take out these guys. It should be clear to move on. I think anyway. Where's Burns at? Burns is gonna hold me up. There he is. Okay, good. So now we're gonna take these guys out. I'm Emp Grenade here because I don't them. All right. Cool. Pretty clean fight.
Yeah, very, very good. Sometimes that fight can go a lot worse if you're not careful, because, again, even though this is on the easiest difficulty, when you have a lot of enemies shooting at you, it's going to basically send Sam into the overheat mode, which is really slow because it slows down time, which isn't really that good for us. The game kind of uses it as a good mechanic to, like, give you a second chance, where it's like, all right, you have, you know, a couple seconds here of slow motion, because you can't actually activate the slow motion like on a whim. There's not a button for it. It's tied to specific movements that Sam does.
Yep, so like leaping over cover or sliding around, dodge rolling, stuff like that. That's how you activate it. Also, here's a pretty good example coming up of how FPS, you know, in the PC port does kind of affect some things, and this is one of the few that's sort of detrimental, at least a little bit. So we're gonna take these guys out if they'll stop ducking behind cover and stuff. Right. So you'll see the enemy or the friendly ship that's up here. We're gonna be doing our own thing over here. If I were doing an actual PB attempt, I would be going to turn on VSync here, because we actually time out pauses for the purposes of this glitch that happens right here. So this guy, whether or not he's going to walk out of this thing is totally random. So here you see, like, because of the high FPS, the friendly AI here cannot walk to the bridge to turn it on. So eventually the game will unsoft lock itself. But normally what you would do in a PB attempt is you would go and turn VSync on just to lower the FPS as much as possible to 60, and then just hope and pray that he will walk over to the button here.
It's really nice, at least, that the game has soft lock preventions like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like they knew tying stuff to FPS was a bad idea.
All right. So now we got 3 drills coming up here, and we're going to use the slow-mo shoot the grenade mechanic here in order to take out a bunch of enemies. That guy's good. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. And again, here's these like drill saw things that shows its Gears of War inspirations.
Literal gear.
Yeah, I definitely think that this was a good attempt from Platinum, though, because if you guys don't know, Platinum is the company that did, like, Bayonetta and those type of games, but they never really focused on shooters up until Vanquish came out.
Excuse me, thank you. Okay, that... Now I can't grab that thing, but whatever. Because now I have level Ant. Normally what I would do there if that cube hadn't popped up is I would have just reset the checkpoint. But I wanted to get the last upgrade for the anti-armor pistol here, which actually increases the firepower by 50%. And that is huge coming into like the later half of the game here. Also, here's going to be another sort of teleport that we're going to do. So I'm going to just go ahead behind these guys, and they just teleported. So now they're over at the elevator. And we'll just kind of push it into...
We kind of did this earlier, but this is the bigger example of that.
Also, we're going to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah. Yep. Sam is a avid smoker. I can't remember where I read somewhere, but I read somewhere that every pound that you send into space, so like every pound of weight, is about $10,000. So Sam smuggling that suit, or smuggling the cigarettes into the lining of his suit, probably cost, you know, the government like $30,000 to get them into space. And Burns doesn't really like that Sam smokes. So there's a lot of times where, like, at the very beginning of the game, he almost kills Sam trying to like cut the cigarette from his mouth and stuff like that. So, but there is actually a gameplay aspect to them where he'll light his cigarette and then throw it when you're in cover, and it'll actually draw enemy fire towards the cigarette and take it off of you. So there's actually a gameplay mechanic tied into it, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's really good, especially like on the higher difficulties where you have to draw enemy aggro a little bit more, and like cover will not always save you in that regard. So it's pretty neat. It actually got implemented like as a what's it called? There's stuff in this game like the cigarette, as well as the shooting the grenades out of the air that got implemented into a game called Ultra Kill, which is another sort of like really cool indie, shooter where you kind of slide around and shoot things. In that game, you have like a coin that you can flick into the air and shoot it, and then it'll like bounce off to enemies and stuff. It's really cool how the legacy of this game just sort of continues still. Like, you know, it kind of just bleeds out into other games, and you see its influence everywhere, despite it being, you know, like, it didn't really do critically too well when it got released. It was only until much later that people really began to appreciate the game. So now, heading on up here. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I do think that this is one of the few Platinum games where the intention of playing a New Game Plus is kind of in all of the Platinum games. It's designed for you to get really good at the mechanics and go through the game a few more times. But typically, like with Bayonetta, or I think, you know, some of their other stuff that they did under as like, I think Grasshopper is what they were beforehand.
Clover
Studios. Yeah, like Okami, I think, is in Beautiful Joe. Like, those games you could go through the first time and like really enjoy them still and not play it in the dev intended way. Whereas this game, you know, I definitely could see people going through it and not really kind of clicking with it the first run through.
Absolutely. Good. Solid. And now, we are into Demonic. You thought that there was only one auto-scroller, but we're in another one now.
No.
Oh yeah, baby.
And it's the stealth section too.
This is the stealth section, because again, what's better after like tons and tons of firefights than stealth? Forced stealth sections. This is again sort of where you just take your water break and you just maybe enjoy the pace that you might be on. Hopefully you're on a good pace when you reach here, because you got a lot of time to think about things. I typically change my laundry out.
Yeah, the way I describe Kamiya games is just like you're on like a full dead ahead sprint and you're running as fast as you possibly can, and then you just slam into a glass wall. every like, you know, like mile or two, you just like break your nose on it. You're like, ow, okay, all right, sorry, I'll hold on for just a second here and then continue.
This is a Shinji Mikami game, which is, you know, who taught Kamiya a lot, so you can really see like the influence as well. Like, I mean, they have like very different philosophies on games, but then there's like again, you know, the very start and stop type philosophy too, where they're like, oh yeah, we just got to have this little thing in here. It's like, I don't know, man. I really feel like we could have done without the stealth section. We do have some time for some words from the host, though. We're going to be here for a little bit.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we do have a donation from an anonymous donator. That is $20, which has been dedicated towards the Sonic 1 Forever Boss Rush incentive. I'd like to take this opportunity as well to remind people that there is another bidding war at the moment for Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. That is the soundtrack choice between the classic soundtrack and the new soundtrack. Currently, classic is in the win with $20. Can you tip the scale? Do you want to? Make up your mind and get donating. Back to you.
Very cool. So the ship that's actually flying overhead here, I could have slowed down time and taken him out on his first pass. However, that would have required me to use slow motion, and the slow motion would have actually caused the monorail here to move slower, so it would have actually been a net time loss. However, I'm just going to do that because for whatever reason I forgot to shoot him as he was coming behind. So now you get to see it a little bit. Trust me, it's there. If I had remembered to be smart and shoot him when he came back around here, we wouldn't have had to use it. The boss as well that's in this section, we're going to let him just kind of fly overhead of us, and we would not use slow-mo because, again, it causes the monorail to move slower. So the monorail is entirely gated, not by you winning fights or anything. I think the only thing that really can affect it is how quickly you take out these lights here, but otherwise it generally has to reach a certain part of the track in order to activate certain events and kind of through as quickly as possible. It's kind of like on a set timer, but there's some things that can cause it to slow down. There's popping out. Like, I really forget what the ramifications are too for this section, like
I think it spawns in more enemies.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. I really forgot what would happen if you just didn't shoot down these things in a timely manner.
You will also notice that in the bottom right corner, there is like an eagle on the anti-armor pistol, which is showing that it is at the max level.
Oh yeah.
So
not every gun in the game has like 10 ranks, but everybody does have like the eagle or whatever. I think the rocket might only have like 3 ranks, 3 or 5. Interesting. I think it's 5 actually.
Yeah, it's pretty low, but you don't really get it that often.
Yeah. All right, so now we got to set down 2 more high explosives here, and let's try and get the yep. So the side slide here, much faster than sliding on the knees. And then we're going to blow up the high explosive here once we get out of reach of it. Ooh. That. Then we just got to make sure that we kind of dodge around, avoid the hits here, and then we'll get back onto the monorail and we'll...
Perfect. Really good movement there. Yeah, again, Cosmic makes this game look very easy, but the way that he is playing and the way that most people play casually is very different.
Oh yeah, now the lights are back on. Sweet.
Yeah, now it's just
Let
morning.
there be light. It's just morning again, dude. We got the night cycles on deck. Yes.
I feel like if you had like a space station that you were living on, it would probably be smarter to slowly dim the lights and like on and off just to kind of simulate like sunrise and nightfall, but I guess this place just like to just shut them on and off immediately. So if you're outside at night, you just like burn your eyes because you're just like, ow, okay, that's open.
And this is one of those points where like you're not supposed to kill this boss as fast as I did. Because now you know you have a bunch of like dead air here. There's like not even music going on. There's nothing, man. Like you outpace some of this game so hard when you speedrun it. It's very clear like that they wanted that, like they intended you to not kill things so fast. They thought that it wasn't gonna, you know, it was gonna take you a little while. to take these things down, especially because like the monorail has a health bar as well too. You see it hasn't been damaged whatsoever. This is like a defend the monorail section, but it turns pretty much into an auto scroller in the speedrun just because of like the weapons that we have at our disposal. Even without like the anti-armor pistol, it's really easy. But the anti-armor pistol really does sort of accentuate like just how quickly you can blow through some of the sections. And we'll be actually coming up on section here too. Second once it. I don't know what this thing is here. All right, so first things first, we are now approaching a thing called the Creon. And the Creon is sort of like this tortoise-looking like warship or something that they have that the Order of the Russian Stars kind of called down. And they're going to try and use it to... I forget what exactly they're trying to try and use it.
They're trying to blow up the center building where there's a bunch of civilians and pretty much everybody who's, like, you know, in the city is located.
Man, it's... I really need to watch the cutscenes for this game at some point soon again. It's been, like, way too long.
Yeah.
Right, so.
The story is just a teeny bit generic, you know?
A little bit. A little bit. Alright, so here I am actually going to go into the options menu and adjust my graphics to turn VSync on because, you guessed it, there's something that's affected by FPS here. And this is not avoidable because there's a tank, there's two tanks in the back of this area that can have very wonky pathing to the point that I'm not going to be able to hit them with this turret. So we fixed that by turning on VSync here. So now I am at 60 FPS, and you're going to see that in a second once the dialogue's kind of wrapped up here. We also grabbed the shotgun here. I'll explain kind of what that's for in a second. This is a recent addition to the route. We actually rerouted all of like a certain boss fight, and it's really cool, really awesome. Really excited to show it for y'all. So we're gonna take out this tank right back here, and then we're gonna take down these Gorgies here. Switch over to this turret right here. Then there's going to be another tank that comes out right around here. And he's dead. Okay. And we're going to come back over here, and it's going to spawn, like, some more stuff. And the tanks back there we're going to kill. Again, this is the tank, again, that I said would, you know, be detrimental to us in terms of pathing because of FPS. So now we're going to take out these two tanks here. They're down. So now we're going to have to go and fight the Creon. And shooting out the Creon's foot is actually going to be beneficial to us because I'm actually going to turn off VSync now. That's served its purpose. Also, the menu interactions, how fast they go, is also tied to FPS. Like I said, everything in this game is just FPS, like, central. It's like, I don't know, man. All right, so now we're going to kind of go ahead and melee dash cancel on up to the Creon here and shoot out its leg. This is going to allow us to transition to the next level a little bit quicker. So
it's also going to allow us to meet a very familiar face.
Hey, where is he at? I know he's here. Alright, so first we're going to go ahead and... Oh, there he is. Yeah, we'll see him in a second.
Yeah.
Get up here.
Here we go.
Yeah. Alright, so this is actually a forced overheat section here. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of roll my way on through. And we got to just kind of get behind cover here and wait for the enemies here to just do their thing. This is Shinji Mikami, the director of Vanquish, right here on the battlefield with us. Look at him go, dude. He's going to launch the wire gun that's going to allow us to go onto the ship. All right, so now we're going to do a really cool skip again here because this auto-scroller, we don't care about this auto. I actually do care about the auto-scroller because I'm skip. However, we're going to try again. And there we go. Now we're going to go along this little railway here. This is probably one of the most nerve-wracking skips when you're on PB pace because you just kind of have to constantly redirect the ever-deviating roundhouse kick that you're using to go along. All right.
See, I bet you guys thought we were getting another auto-scroller.
Hey, we're not, dude. It's great. So, now we're going to throw down an EMP grenade here on the boss called Unknown, and we're going to do a charged melee attack with the shotgun. This is unique to 2 of the weapons in the game, the shotgun and the laser cannon. And, okay, I don't know why I did that, but anyway. But yeah, the shotgun has a melee that you can charge, and it just totally takes out Unknown's health there. Pretty great.
It is kind of a shame that we don't get to see more of the Unknown, though. It's like the funniest boss ever. It like literally like when it gets down to like that core ball red thing, it literally just like runs around on like 2 legs and it looks hilarious. It's great.
So now we're into another really cool movement section of the run. I'm going to reset the checkpoints here to get these tubes to be on in a consistent cycle. Sam actually calls this the Amusement Park. So instead of having to wait for the tubes to expire their lasers that are kind of going through, we're just going to reset the checkpoints. We are. We're going to hit one more checkpoint right up here. And this cycle is actually possible because of the sniper melee dash cancel. Like, you could not do this with, I think, any other one. Maybe you could do it with the LFE one, but it would be pretty tight. I'm gonna probably go for these. I might go for the IL right here. It's tough, but it could be a little bit of time loss, but you know, all's fair in cons. All right, so what we're gonna try and do an elevator clip out of this right here. It's gonna only save like a little bit of time. Uh-oh, goes. I shouldn't have done. Okay, anyway. So now we're not gonna go for that. It's just something that I like to go for in marathons. It
is a shame. Yeah, you've gone them in a lot of marathons I've done.
Yeah, I always... It's like the luck was bound to run out eventually, right? Oh, here we go. All right, cool. But yeah, that strat is hard.
What, like 10 seconds?
Yeah, it's like 10. So now we just kind of have to wait here. And then there's going to be like one fight up here where we just have to use... some grenades as well as the anti-armor pistol to take out the enemies. I'm kind of hoping for an LFE gun drop here because you can actually use the LFE gun to push the enemies, the final wave of enemies off the stage. So here's hoping that happens. That's another thing that like you would go for in the IL here, because you would actually just kind of hope for an LFE drop. All right, so. Alright, so that's unfortunate. Oh my goodness, what are you doing, sir? Okay.
So
that was not what I wanted.
It's another thing to note that even though he was aimed at that enemy, the bullets don't like land where your HUD is. They fire out from the gun, so they're actual projectiles, meaning that they can get blocked, which is really, really annoying.
Cool.
Good recovery though. And you didn't forget the anti-armor pistol.
That's true. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and use a bunch of grenades here. This is going to be the first instance of the infinite grenade glitch. And the infinite grenade glitch, if you have 0 of one grenade type, and you do the long throw animation that Sam does there, you can actually switch grenades during that animation. So like he has the EMP emitter in his hand during the throw animation, but then when it leaves his hand, I've switched to the hand grenade. And so I have just infinite hand grenades, you know, for the foreseeable future. I don't have infinite EMP grenades. Unfortunately, it doesn't work both ways, but for the way that you want the route to work, right now hand grenades are the way to be able to throw a ton down into that area.
Yeah, it really helps out because those enemies can get into cover, and I think they can even take the things and fly out if you aren't fast enough.
Yep, that's correct, yeah. So, do this. We also have a little bit of a treat coming up for chat here. Everybody wants to get out their favorite dance emo. Kind of partial to Sour Please.
If you're wondering what's going on in the story, by the way, Sam is trying to do a self-sacrifice to destroy the Creon in order to, stop it from killing everyone. Unfortunately, the main issue with it being that his suit will overheat very easily, and if it overheats too much, he dies. So that's kind of the danger role that goes into this. Here we go.
Vibing, dude.
Oh, it's great. Dancing, having a good time, taking a break from the battle, enjoying themselves.
Longer though. They had to go eventually.
Oh no. How terrible. Absolutely horrible.
Absolutely. All right, so now we're going to see another unknown fight. This is going to be another shotgun charge attack here. Here he goes. Boom. And he's down. Cool.
Yeah, really good timing.
And I was actually able to grab the LFE there just to get a little bit of extra movement there because the way that we have it routed, like, there's going to be a sniper up here in the next chapter, but we just want to minimize the amount of time lost due to not having the sniper rifle movement as we're going through the next area. This is the self-sacrifice here that Demont was talking about. Fortunately, this is not where the game ends.
Yeah.
We do not sacrifice ourselves for the Creon. We take out the Creon. Sam is just that cool.
I think it has something to do with Elena, like, turning off his inhibitors and putting him at over 9,000. So, something along those lines. Yeah, and before the entire, like, Creon thing can crash and, you know, fall, we actually get saved by Burns, which is actually a big character thing, because Burns was all about, like, leaving people behind, but he doesn't leave Sam behind.
A nice guy.
And oh, what's this? Is this color in my Vanquish?
Color, dude. Yeah, I mean it's kind of like a muted green, but we take those small victories here.
Yeah, again, this was a, you know, middle generation 360 PS3 game, so if you don't know, during that time, colors were actually outlawed from all video games that had guns.
Yeah, it was only black and gray, dude, and sometimes yellow.
And brown. Yeah.
Brown, yeah, brown was a banger. Absolutely.
Like Rage 1, Doom 3, Vanquish,
yeah, Gears of War. I mean, like the only red you were allowed to have was blood. So like that was it.
Mad World.
The Mad World, yeah, that's true. That was literally where there was like no color except black, white, and red. Like a newspaper, dude. Black, white, and red all over.
So this forest area is very much a like combat section. We actually have to be kind of careful here. This hasn't happened a whole lot to Cosmic, but it has happened, I think, in the last 2 marathons that he's done. Sometimes he gets soft locked here for absolutely no reason, and it's probably tied to FPS because everything else is. But
yeah, oh man, SU.
Yeah,
I remember this happening during the first practice session we had for GDQ. That was a thing where like the enemies, like the friendlies here, just kind of got stuck behind a wall. We had to reset checkpoint. That was just... Alright, so now these enemies are going to kind of come out of here, and I'm like, I don't have infinite grenade glitch for hand grenades here, so I'm just going to kind of throw 3 of them, and we're just going to let the chips fall where they may in that regard. Like 3 is good enough. And then the Romanovs here are going to come out. I'm waiting for this guy to come out. There he is. Alright. So, as we move on through, there's going to be another turret section coming up as well. And this is going to be one where we kind of abuse checkpoints to get free upgrade points as well. So I'm going to get an upgrade point here after I take out these enemies with the turret. Take this guy out here. Take that dude out. There's here. I did. Alright, so I'm going to grab a free upgrade point there for the assault rifle. And the assault rifle is not like our main priority or anything, but having upgrade points in it never hurts. So it allows you to, you know, carry more ammo, do a little bit more damage, have like a larger magazine size and everything. Just overall pretty good. So no reason to not grab it. We're going to also do this as well to force along the section so that we don't have to wait for anything. This is now kind of wrapped up, and we're able to just have Burns and the rest of the dudes follow us. Unfortunately, okay, well, he's getting accosted here by some enemies, but... And then Burns actually elects to leave the Marines behind here. which is Sam does not like this like whatsoever. At some point he comments here like, oh, so this is how the Marines do business, and Burns just says, you know, oh, we have to complete the mission, we don't get to choose. He's like, you know, core and country first, and Sam's just really not that answer whatsoever.
Yeah, especially since like the main thing in the military is no man left behind, but you know, Burns is just like, sorry, plot convenience. Yeah, we had to have some tension between the two main characters, right?
Absolutely. So now this right here, and we're gonna be getting another buzz fight. Well, this buzz fight is gonna go kind of down, same as the last one. So we have a little time.
Yes, indeed. Thank you kindly. I noticed that a few people have come in since I last mentioned it, so hello, welcome. This is the Only Marathon, which is a speed-running marathon in memory of the Only Kid, raising money for the Trevor Project, which is the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBT people. There's still quite a bit of time left if you want to donate for the bidding war on rolled out character choice. Currently in the lead is Chartreuse the Giraffe, followed by Snowcone the Chicken, Morris the Bat, and Guava the Koala. Get your donations in if you wish.
Alright, this is also the last time that this game is going to reuse the Argus Core boss fight, and this is the boss that we fought at the very beginning of the game where we had to use the turret on it. Now we're going to see a whole new side to this boss fight, because we haven't seen these guys since like Chapter 2, but now we have the max level anti-armor pistol, and you're just going to see this thing's health get shredded. So prepare yourself. If I can get around it.
I'm ready. Oh, is the debris there random?
I think so, yeah. I haven't had it like block me like that. It's so interesting how that works. All right, here we go.
Never
that thing's down. All right, so here we go. Health just gets chunked. 5 shots down. Then we're gonna stand underneath it because it's gonna do a desperation attack, and you're gonna see it kind of come out here at the back. Now we've kind of aimed it that way. We're good to go. Clear out. And we can just be on our merry way. So if I hadn't done that, if I had just, you know, not avoided it, we would have gotten hit by it probably, and then gotten 1 shot, and then had to do the fight all over. And that's like a minute time long. So that's just not good. Also, these kind of like droideka looking things, if you just kind of stand at a distance, they'll just blow up on their own. Shoutouts to the destroyer droids from the Phantom Menace, dude. Definitely one of the cooler enemy designs in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we're gonna kind of roundhouse kick on in here. Take these guys out.
If this is the right area, it'd be like my favorite checkpoint reset in the game.
Oh yeah, it's the one with what's it called? Yeah, where you actually skip the
phone call.
Here's.
Yeah, if you're also wondering why the enemies were not going after Sam, it's because they have like that unskippable animation of them like being really cool looking and walking out to fight you, but you kind of just go way past them.
Yeah. There was that checkpoint reset there, so we actually get to skip the intercom thing here. We're going to bring Burns and the Marines down to us.
It's also worth noting that that checkpoint that you just did skips one of the forced dialogue calls that we've been seeing a couple of times where it goes into first person. It's the only one you can skip in the entire game.
That's reason.
Yep.
And now we just chunk everything. And we just grab this right here. Roundhouse kick our way on over to this thing. And...
very good. And yeah, thankfully when you get your anti-armor pistol to this rank, it's very easy to maintain the ammo that you need for the rest of the run, so it's not really something that you need to worry about.
Yeah, it's like there's at this point there's a lot of like you can replenish your ammo like one of two ways at this point for the anti-armor pistol. You can use an upgrade cube to replenish it. It might seem redundant, but you know, like when you're kind of a ways away from a booth of weapons, it is better to just kind of take that upgrade cube just to make sure that you're always kind of topped off. If you're confident in your ammo count, then you can always put it into the assault rifle. But if you're not really confident on it, you can just, you know, use that to lighten the load a little bit. You can also, you know, just rely on the DLC boosts as well. Once you get to a really high level with the game, you kind of learn like what your ammo count is going to be at certain points in the game. Also, I need to stagger my movement here and wait for like a checkpoint to happen. Otherwise, the game will soft lock because the enemies will not spawn in here. So we're going to do this. Throw a bunch of grenades there. And then we're going to wait for a checkpoint to appear. And the boss known as the Crystal Viper is going to appear. I'm going to do a pretty cool strat here too. It's not optimal, but it is really awesome looking. And okay, Burns. Ooh.
Yeah, also known as the boss from Terminator 2.
And he's down. Very cool.
Yeah. So, story thing. What ended up happening there is the Crystal Viper caused like a chain reaction of explosions when it died, which basically blew up a huge hole in the space station. So now the entire I swear this is not an Among Us reference. Now the entire space station is venting from all the oxygen in the air. So now we're trying to get to like special, I guess not safe houses, but like areas that have their own oxygen before, you know, all the oxygen is sucked out into space.
We also picked up another shotgun there too, fixed drop there, and we're going to use that for the last unknown fight, which is this area. This area is really cool too because of the zero gravity mechanics. You can really see like the bullets flying next to Sam's gun and everything, and you can shoot boxes out of your way and everything. It's just a really section of
yeah.
really
I kind of
awesome.
wish it lasted longer, but unfortunately,
Yeah, for real.
it's a pretty short spot.
Using the shotgun there for the AoE damage. And now we're going to head into the fight against Unknown. This is going to be another one where we do a charged melee attack. These charged melee attacks, like I said, you know, they do a ton of damage. And they're super useful for controlling the Unknown.
Also got some help from Degrassi.
Oh man, Degrassi. Yes.
Yeah. When you're playing this game a little bit more like casually, you do get attached to some of them because there's a lot of native Marines in this, and you can actually like help them out and, you know, revive them by giving them a shot of Mountain Dew and all that stuff.
You try the raspberry lemonade Mountain Dew yet, dude?
I have not, no.
Definitely. All right.
What's not awesome though is what Burns just did. So good news is for us is that we made it into one of the safe zones before the entire atmosphere was vented and gone. The bad news is Burns activated the like lockdown early, so what ended up happening is a lot of Marines outside got stuck. So Sam is really not liking Burns right now. So he's kind of just going ahead while Burns talks to the President of the United States.
There's gonna be a checkpoint reset here that I'm gonna do that will just put me right in the middle of a fight against the Buzzard as well. This is actually the last Buzzard fight in the game. Go. Gonna go ahead and use this to that guy walked in front of me. Excellent. Love to see it. And now we're gonna hit another checkpoint reset. To despawn a bunch of those enemies, skip some waves and everything, take that guy out, and we're going to use the anti-armor pistol here as well to just kind of one-shot all these guys, because there's actually a booth right by us of the anti-armor pistol again.
Very good. Nice.
Going up here.
Again, another example of the movement with a lot of enemies around. He has to be careful when he actually does the melee kicks.
Now we gotta plant one last set of high explosives, because we're just going to take out these little consoles here that will allow our Marines to get onto the bridge so that they can also man the turrets that are on there. Finally, they can do all the fun turrets. We don't have to. Oh, wait, we have one. Boom. Okay, so last turret section here. You don't really have like a priority of targets that you have to take on. I tend to just kind of go for the destroyer droids here because they kind of don't make themselves too vulnerable a lot of the time. And the more like certain waves that you kill, the more enemies will spawn in. You obviously want enemies to spawn in as quickly as possible. Let's take this guy out. Oh shoot! Where is the other? Oh, there he is. I couldn't even see this dude amongst like all the red over there. All right, cool.
Is there time for one last donation as we head into the last section of the run?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is from Anonymous, $10, which has gone towards putting Morris the Rat into second place for the rolled out character poll. And they say, I'm not a good man, not a tolerant man, but people taking their lives over what they are is not good. Bless you all, and great hope to help ones you can. Thank you very much, Anonymous, and good luck with the run.
Alright, so I gotta tell you, Demonic, the Crystal Viper kind of showing up out of nowhere in this game, like near the end of the game, and it's supposedly the most powerful assassin that they have. I gotta say, like, where was this guy the entire game to sort of accost us at every turn? I really feel like they wanted to do more with this guy, but they couldn't. Something. Like,
yeah, it's kind of, you can tell that there were some aspects about this game that just were not exactly finished.
Yeah, they didn't like flesh out some things, but I mean the boss is still cool. It's just like I would have liked to see more of him, you know, maybe give him a little bit more character. Also, I don't know why they have like this big dramatic entrance kind of built up here for these guys, but it's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna do
I'm also not sure why
more.
this Crystal Viper boss that you're just about to do, how the first one was able to cause a massive explosion when they died, but this one just like, oh no, and then just falls over. Like,
That's
the other
true.
one was such a huge plot point to its death, and then this one just like, oh, well, I guess I'm over.
I guess I'm just done. So now we are going to get started on the last two sections of the game. So at this point, they're getting a message from Burns that, you know, he needs help or whatever. And so Sam says, hey, go back up your captain. You know, I'm going to take care of what I got to take care of here. And so at this point, you know, they're very close to finding the scientist. That, you know, Sam and Elena are very close to finding the scientist that they've been in search of this entire time. So Sam, like, I think he's actually behind this doorway. And once we pop it open, there's like a cutscene that plays. Unfortunately, we're going to skip it, so we're going to have to, you know, go right to the big plot point that happens. And that big plot point is that Burns betrays us. He was an imposter among us all along. And he actually kills the scientist that we were looking for.
Yeah. And the whole thing about it was, I think the President of the United States in this universe and Burns were both working together. And essentially it was one of those things where it's like, we're making money from war, so we learned a lot of things about how, like, the Order of the Russian Star was, like, helped by the U.S. in order to defeat the Russians and gain power, and then they betrayed us, so Burns is kind of trying to cover that up. So we get into a boss fight with him, and now he's the bad guy, and this is actually kind of a cool boss fight, but because Cosmic is so good at this game, it's basically over before it actually begins. Normally you're only supposed to do maybe like half of the HP bar, like something like that. We're just basically going to finish him off in this opening area, but unfortunately we can't kill him just yet because this is a pretty scripted event. It's the last auto-scroller of the game, I promise. After this, there's no more.
Actual last auto scroll. Rejoice.
Yeah,
all right,
but,
so now we've
sadly
got.
we can't kill him just yet.
Yeah, we took him down to 1 HP. During one of my practice runs, this is a bummer. So there's a QTE here, and I thought that you only had to press it once, and all this time I've just sort of hit it like as many times as I can. But yesterday when I was doing a practice run, I decided, you know what, I'm going to only hit it once and then see what happens. And I failed the QTE because of it, even though I hit it right here. And I had to do the entire auto scroller all over again. Cost me like 2. But that's not happening here. So no. yeah, very cool. So now here what we're going to do is we're going to lay down an EMP grenade in order to force Burns into the last room here. This is also going to keep his buddies off of our back. And we're just going to kind of hang out by the door as it opens up. We just kind of want to get through here as quickly as possible. Very cool. And we just kind of want to abuse the iframes here to get up here. And then we're just going to... Oh my goodness, of course he's going to do this to me. So I have to actually wait for this slowdown to expire before the kill will register. Okay, there he goes. Excuse me. What? Oh my god, I actually might die. Yeah, I just died. Okay. Oh, nice, excellent. All right, well that happens. Weird. That happens sometimes. It's not very often that it does. But okay, he doesn't get stunned. That's good.
It's fine.
That's excellent. Yeah, this is like really not the position that you want to be in here. Unfortunately, it is just sort of a byproduct of the way that you're not really supposed to have Burns down to this point. It's expecting you to actually have to fight him. Sometimes things just don't register. But nothing doing. We're just going to move into the last fight. So this is Victor Zaitsev.
Yeah, so the idea is that Victor Zaitsev, the leader of the Order of Electric Star, is in one of these suits. However, we don't know which one. And it's not random or anything like that. It's always going to be he's in the one that you don't kill first. So if he was doing this to Alpha, then Alpha would be the one, he would be in Bravo, and then since he's doing Bravo, then it goes in Alpha. We're actually trying to get them both as low as we can at first before we kill the first one in order to make the second phase of the fight as short as possible.
Yeah, so now that I've got both of them down to... this is also the coolest cutscene, or the coolest QTE in the game, where he just Falcon punches the first thing that you kill.
There really also, needs to be more stuff like this in the game.
Absolutely. Also, now that we've taken down Alpha to 0 HP, you're going to see an instant sort of cutscene transition here, and it's going to be like the end of the fight. So boom, you're automatically aiming at him after that whole transition ends. So if he's at 1 HP, then you can just fire the shotgun, and it will always hit him. So now, time is going to be coming up in about 30 seconds or so. So get ready for that. Now Sam has his inhibitors unlocked, and now the game decides to go into this really weird first-person mode. And we just got to do some QTEs and stuff. Avoid some blows. Avoid getting duffed.
Yeah. Again, Mikami worked on this game, so of course there's going to be cutscenes.
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
QTEs.
Alright, so here. In this last time. Cool.
GG, very good.
GG. So that is Vanquish, any percent casual with DLC. I want to thank the Only Marathon very much for having me on. It is very impressive what the staff has put together in such a short amount of time. It is great to see a community come together for something like this. You have some very great leaders and people in the Sonic community that put this marathon on, and I hope you cherish them very much because they are great and they have done an awesome job with this event. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you both. And we will be moving right on ahead into the roller mini block. Very short break.